Welcome. It is Poetry Wednesday at Story and Song. Now, I'm going to start with a story before I get to my song of poetry. I happened to come in a little early, so I was meandering around upstairs and just looking at things, which I don't always do. And I want to share with you something I found, and I want to make a suggestion too, that when you come into Story and Song, take a pause and look around, because there are so many more things than just books. Not that they in themselves are not enough, but there are other things that can catch your fancy. I literally walked by something and saw this printed piece propped up on one of the shelves, and it happens to be poetry, so I'm not that far off point today, but I'd like to read you what I found. And of course at the top is the moon, I assume, and beneath which is a poem. And you can buy this as you see it, frame it if you wish, do whatever you wish. And speaking of wishes, the title, strangely enough, is The Other Wish. Nights. I wonder about the sanity of Icarus. Wax and wings, both wasted on the sun's scorch. If I'd handmade, fanned out, feathers set me, oh, I'd choose the moon, always, the sister moon, cold, comely queen of the sky, pockmarked with craters, pummeled by meteors, and still shining. Imagine the gathering on the shore, you holding my coat for a warm comeback. We mean a thing is impossible when we say, oh, we're shooting for that great orbital puller. How hard can you glow? Asks the owl's eye. What radiant part of you wishes to dynamite? I used to think it was like a light bulb. Life, dangling in the chest, asking to be switched on. But it's not the light that's ever in question. Rather, what's your brilliant, glaring wattage? What do you dare to gleam out and reflect? If I were to fall, sabotaged wax, torn pinion, I'd want to fall from the terrifying height of her. The dust of my years crazy and flashing, lit up by the victory of my disastrous flight. Ada Limon wrote that, and you can actually purchase this beautifully crafted piece. Now, I'm going to get back on point. I'm very easily distracted. Give me a bright, shiny object, and I'm yours. Speaking of which, this book is one that I would have been drawn to when I saw the subject matter. But, and this is hard to tell you, but purple is my favorite color. Walking by one of the bookshelves, I saw this fabulous book, which is Maya Angelou, The Complete Poetry, and guess what? There's part of a purple rainbow on the cover. Now, don't think for a minute I couldn't have been seduced to that book. It was really quite something. Now, I'm going to read you a few selections from this, and just to jiggle your memory a bit, she passed a number of years ago. I think it was in 2014, but she was very much a part of our society. She was somebody who looked, saw, recorded, and translated for us. Now, I will give you a heads up. Maya Angelou was a very healthy woman, and there are some passages in here that might curl your eyelashes. They didn't curl mine, but I just want to give you fair warning. Not all of them are as sensual as some of them, but all of them show enormous, enormous insight. Now, dedicated to Clinton, President Clinton, is the following. On the pulse of morning, a rock, a river, a tree, hosts to species long since departed, marked the mastodon, the dinosaur who left dried tokens of their sojourn here on our planet floor. Any broad alarm of their hastening doom is lost in the gloom of dust and ages. But today, the rock cries out to us clearly, forcefully, "Come, you may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny. But seek no haven in my shadow. I will give you no hiding place down here. You, created only a little lower than the angels, have crouched too long in the bruising darkness, have lain too long face down in ignorance, your mouths spilling words on for slaughter. The rock cries out to us today, you may stand upon me, but do not hide your face. Across the wall of the world, a river sings a beautiful song. It says, come, rest by my side. Each of you, a bordered country, delicate and strangely made proud, yet thrusting perpetually under siege. Your arms struggled for profit, have left collars of waste upon my shore, currents of debris upon my breast. Yet today I call you to my riverside, if you will study war no more. Come, clad in peace, and I will sing the songs the Creator gave to me when I and the tree and the rock were one. Oh, before cynicism was a bloody scar across your brow, and when you yet knew, you still knew nothing. The river sang, and sings on. There is a true yearning to respond to the singing river and the wise rock. So say the Asian, the Hispanic, the Jew, the African, the Native American, the Sioux, the Catholic, the Muslim, the French, the Greek, the Irish, the rabbi, the priest, the sheik, the gay, the straight, the preacher, the privileged, the homeless, the teacher. Oh, they all hear the speaking of the tree. They hear the first and last of every tree speak to humankind today. Come to me, here, beside the river. Plant yourself beside the river, each of you, descendant of some passed-on traveler, has been paid for. You, who gave me my first name. You, Pawnee, Apache, Seneca. You, Cherokee Nation, who rested with me, then forced on bloody feet, left me to the employment of other seekers, desperate for gain, starving for gold. You, the Turk, The Arab, the Swede, the German, the Eskimo, the Scot, the Italian, the Hungarian, the Pole, you, the Ashanti, the Yoruba, the Kru, bought, sold, stolen, arriving on a nightmare, praying for a dream. Here, root yourself beside me. I am that tree planted by the river, which will not be moved. I, the rock. I, the river. I, the tree. I am yours. Your passages have been paid. Lift up your faces. You have a piercing need for this bright morning dawning for you. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived. But, if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take it into the palms of your hands. Mold it the shape of your most private need. Sculpt it into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for a new beginning. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here, on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out and upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country, no less to Midas than the mendicant, no less to you now than the mastodon then. Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning. Now, isn't that a way to start an administration? Power to Maya Angelou. A few others from her. Come and be my baby. The highways full of big cars go nowhere fast, and folks is smoking anything that'll burn. Some people wrap their lives around a cocktail glass, and you sit wondering where you're going to turn. Ah, I got it. Come and be my baby. Some prophets say the world is gonna end tomorrow, but others say we've got a week or two. Paper is full of every kind of blooming horror, and you sit wondering what you're gonna do. Oh, I got it. Come and be my baby. And another one. Life don't frighten me. Shadows on the wall, noises down the hall. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Bad dogs barking loud, big ghosts in a cloud. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Mean old Mother Goose, lions on the loose, they don't frighten me at all. dragons breathing flame on my counterpane. That doesn't frighten me at all. I go boo, make them shoo. I make fun, way they run. I won't cry, so they fly. I just smile, they go wild. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Tough guys in a fight, all alone at night. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Panthers in the park, strangers in the dark. No, they don't frighten me at all. That new classroom where boys all pull my hair, kissy little girls with the hair and curls, well, they don't frighten me at all. Don't show me frogs and snakes and listen for my screams. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I can walk the ocean floor and never have to breathe. Life doesn't frighten me at all, not at all. Not at all. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Appropriate for me. On aging. When you see me sitting quietly, like a sack left on the shelf, don't think I need your chattering. I'm listening to myself. Hold! Stop! Don't pity me. Hold! Stop your sympathy. Understanding if you've got it. Otherwise, I'll do without it. When my bones are stiff and aching, and my feet won't climb the stair, I will ask only one favor. Don't bring me no rocking chair. When you see me walking, stumbling, don't study and get it wrong, 'cause tired don't mean lazy, and every goodbye ain't gone. I'm the same person I was back then. A little less hair, a little less chin, a lot less lungs and much less wind. But ain't I lucky? I can still breathe in. And one last word from Maya Angelou, which is going to segue me into the next brief journey into a book. Caged Bird. That, by the way, was the title of her autobiography. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade wind soft through the Scion trees, and the fat worms waiting on the dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. his wings are clipped, his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill. For the caged bird sings of freedom. Now talk about the perfect segue, which is nothing more than a fancy word for transition. Oh, 2 years ago, I bought a book, which I read and loved, and I noticed they still have it. Poetry Will Save Your Life, a memoir by Jill Bielowski. And it's really quite astounding because Jill has taken poems that are meaningful to her and woven them into a web that is actually an autobiography. It's how these poems and what she interprets as their message have actually impacted on her, guided her, helped her, whatever. And I'm going to start with a specific poem that literally was done by Paul Laurence Dunbar, who was a friend of Frederick Douglass, who actually found him a job, and he wanted to be a poet, and he ended up being an elevator operator and a poet later. But his poetry was not unlike some of Zora Neale Hurston. He wrote in some poems in dialect, and he was much loved in his era. But see if you notice something about this poem, Sympathy. I know what the caged bird feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs through the springing grass, and the river flows like a stream of glass. When the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and when the faint perfume from its chalice steals, I know what the caged bird feels. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till its blood is red on the curved, cruel bars. For he must fly back to his perch and cling, when he fain would be on the bough a swing. And a pain still throbs in the old, old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. Oh, I know why he beats his wing. I know why the caged bird sings, ah me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore. When he beats his bars and would be free, it is not a carol of joy and glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. Oh, I know why the caged bird sings. Can you weave a thread through to Maya Angelou and see that it started here with Paul Laurence Dunbar in Sympathy and wound up in her poem and in the title of her autobiography? Literature has many such strange meetings if you but look for them. I'm going to read briefly a couple other things from this book. I won't give you exactly how it impacted or why it impacted. I think you can discover that when you read the book. Another one of my favorites, Robert Louis Stevenson, My Shadow. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me, from his heels up to his head, and I see him jump before me when I jump in bed. Now, the funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. Oh, not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. For he sometimes shoots up taller than an Indian rubber ball, and he sometimes gets so little that there's nothing left of him at all. He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play, and can only make a fool of me in every sort of way. He stays so close beside me. He's a coward, you can see. I'd think shame to stick a nursey as that shadow sticks to me. You know, one morning, very early, before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepyhead, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. And a touch of William Shakespeare, Sonnet 29. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art, that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day, arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that I scorn to change my state with kings. Now, just an observation. In the third line, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries. Here's another string in the web of the tapestry that is history. I lecture in Northeast Florida history, and one of my favorite topics is David Levy-Hewley. And in one of the lectures, I actually quote something he wrote right after the Civil War. And the exact quote, when confronted with how he was dealing with slaves that he owned, as did a lot of people of substance in the South, how he was going to deal with this, what the transition was going to be. Here was a man who built railroads, who had sugar mills, who did all sorts of incredible things. One of our two first senators, quite an extraordinary man, and of Sephardic Jewish background, might I add. The quote in his letter in response to what was he going to do was simply this: it is bootless to look back. Didn't we just encounter that word in the Shakespearean sonnet? We look at literature as the past. It isn't. It's right here, immediately with us, if we wake up and look. And now, in closing, from Jill's book, something I love, The Star. And I didn't realize this was actually a truly composed poem. Jane and Ann Taylor wrote this. You'll recognize it immediately when I start. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when he nothing shines upon, then you show your little light, twinkle, twinkle, all the night. Then the traveler in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. In the dark blue sky you keep, often through my curtains peep, for you never shut your eye till the sun is in the sky. 'Tis your bright and tiny spark lights the traveler in the dark, though I know not what you are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And now, may you twinkle, twinkle forward, and come join me on Friday when we look at some letters that were exchanged. Thank you so much for coming. Have a glorious rest of the week.